Welcome to the Harness Racing Alumni Show. I'm Freddie Hudson, and I'm here today with Trade Martin and Bob Marks.
The Harness Racing Alumni Show with your hosts, Freddie Hudson and Trade Martin.
Joining us today as our special guest is former presiding judge Art Gray. Art, welcome to the Harness Racing Alumni Show.
Thank you, Freddie. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, as a retired judge, what are you up to these days?
Well, I've been retired 10 years, and I get phone calls from horsemen that have concerns about, things they're unhappy with the commissions in the individual racing jurisdictions. Unfortunately, there are some issues out there, but the horsemen, they don't want to step up to the plate. They're concerned about, losing their livelihood if they say something. Mm-hmm. And what they're asking me to do is follow up on some of the articles that I've written in the past. And, they feel that with my experience and, in the articles that I have written, that if I followed through and I did the same, that I could help them out. But, anything that I've written in the past has always been, corroborated. And, I can't just start, writing articles and saying things that, that are not backed up, not supported.
Yeah. Hey, Art, last week we had on as our guest Don Tiger, the owner of Charlie May. Now, you testified at that trial. What can you tell us as to what you saw in the trial and that whole ruling?
Well, I did not address whether there was interference or not. Don contacted me. I had written articles about officials and the procedures in the stand, and that it was important for the presiding judge and the associate judges to hear what the drivers had to say about a particular situation on the racetrack. The judges in New Jersey, and it comes from the commission, it's their policy, they didn't talk to the drivers. It's not, they don't talk to the drivers. They just look at the film and they make a decision. But I had 30 years in the stand, and it doesn't happen often, but there are times where a driver has said to me, well, I caught a wheel, I caught a hook, there was a piece of broken equipment that created the situation. And on the second look, after the information I had from the driver, it turned out that it wasn't as it appeared on the film. So the judges that I've trained over the years, and I've always made a point to talk to the drivers involved, even if a situation to talk to the drivers that are right behind the situation. But I think it's important to get all the information you have. The judges, if they have the experience and they know what they're doing, you can ask questions. And if you have a driver's getting a wheel underneath, and he gets real close, and whether he hits him or not, is up in the air. But the driver takes back, and the driver that's come bearing in ends up getting a seat. If the driver that gives up the hole, if he wanted the 2-hole, he caused the situation. He was given a disadvantage. And if you talk to the driver, he's going to say, well, it didn't really bother me. I came back first over. But you ask questions. Say, well, he had a wheel under him. And, did he hit you? He'll say, no. He said, well, were you concerned about getting hit? Did you take back? And if he says yes, then, well, then it did. It altered your performance. And that's not where you want it to be. And that's interference. And, if you use the film and ask the questions, you'll get down to what happened on the racetrack, and you can act accordingly. And if you don't talk to the drivers, I just don't understand why, you can make decisions based just on looking at the film.
Didn't they come up with the Charlie May rule after that trial, basically where the judges would have to talk to the drivers, and are they participating in that? Are they following that rule?
Well, no, the judge agreed that what the appeal was filed under was that there was no due process, that the presiding judge and the judge didn't have all the information necessary to make a decision, and that is what the winning appeal was based on. But New Jersey didn't follow through that on changing the procedure, but that there was a judges conference where it was discussed a Charlie May rule, that there should be a rule that the drivers should be talked to. How extensive that change has gone through, I couldn't tell you, but I hope every state should have that.
Have you been following any of the recent rulings from the USTA lately?
Yes, they have. They're making some good progress. The USTA has taken on a stance that HISA is basically focusing on the thoroughbreds, right. And their rule, their rules don't fit harness racing. The situation with Jack Wagner and where they followed what they did, they followed the money, and they found you can find where ownerships are changed to circumvent penalties, and it's something that the USTA can do. They have it in their rules, and it's easy to follow the money, and that's what they did with Jack Wagner. Years ago, I don't know, going back 20 years, I've been retired 10 years, and going back 10 years or more before that, I attempted to do the same with situations, and I was shot down by the commission. Said, well, we're not going to get into this. And it's a situation where here's a rule that they have, and the commission is not following through on. I couldn't tell you why, but it's something that has been neglected, and now the USTA is taking a stance on this. And it's not that the USTA is trying to replace the commissions, but the USTA, they have powers and actions that they can take that complement.
Hey, Art, now you brought up HISA. Now, many people probably don't know that you actually lobbied on the Senate side with me back in, I guess it was 2020. Yeah, 2020. We attended about 6 or 8 Senate offices.
Yes, yes, we did. We went down there with Chris McCarron, something that I've worked on.
Chris McCarron was there. Alan Gutterman. Joe DeFrancis, and several other people, and Dan Kazmaier. We all lobbied over there for, I guess it was 6 or 8 offices. I don't remember. How do you see? Now that was way before HISA was law. It was before the indictments, before the arrests. How do you see HISA doing right now?
As far as harness they're not doing anything for us.
No, nothing for harness, only thoroughbreds. Right,
and the USTA has realized this, and they're taking a stance and going forward to address issues in harness racing. But HISA has not. The thoroughbreds in general are not happy with what's going on, with HISA, with the with the jockeys and the number of times that they're going to the whip and the stretch, and then and placings, and they feel that there's a long way to go before that this is where it needs to be, so that it effectively can regulate thoroughbred racing.
Correct, and I don't see HISA coming into harness racing for probably another 2 years at the earliest, from what I can see. And the other thing I'm going to ask you, what do you think of our recent track closings? We've lost Cal Expo, we've lost Freehold, Pompano. What's your read on that?
Well, unfortunately, we're losing racetracks through attrition. And a perfect example is what's going on with the fairgrounds in New Orleans. And New Orleans had, it's one of the fairgrounds, one of the top thoroughbred racetracks. And the politicians are passing a rule, looks like it's going to pass, that allows slot machines, and they're allowing the expansion of slot machines outside of the racetrack. And Churchill Downs, that owns the fairgrounds, they went through the numbers, and they said that this isn't going to work. And they've gone to the point where they have requested to resign from there, to give up their license to race in Louisiana, in New Orleans. And unfortunately, that is that is what the future is. On the thoroughbred side, I talked to some of the thoroughbred colleagues. They're talking about the racetracks that may be left. Might be Hot Springs. Santa Anita is up in the air with what Roanox have planned for the future. It looks like Gulfstream is history. It's not good, and there isn't anything we can do to stop it. I don't think the legislature. If there's another way for the states to bring in more revenue, I think that's going to supersede the needs of the horsemen. Right now, there were hearings in Ohio just the last week or so about some of the legislation in there, and the president of the Horsemen's Association testified before the legislature about the income, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that harness racing brings to the surrounding community, to various different jobs. And we'll have to see what happens in Ohio, but I don't think it's going to be good down the road.
Yeah. Everyone basically looks at Kentucky as being our most successful state right now for racing, and they seem to have put the program together with the historic racing slots that seems to be covering the purses. The purses are fantastic. The handles are off. I don't see any really solid handles in our sport except for over at the Meadowlands and maybe Woodbine. Do you see the same thing?
Yes, Kentucky's doing very well. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Ray Schnitker a while back, and he had said that if he was a young man, that's where he'd be. He'd set up his operation, his racing operation in Kentucky. Indiana is also is doing well with their this Sire Stakes program and what they're doing at the racetrack.
Okay, and Ohio is doing well, and that seems to be the core of our business right now. New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, I don't see them doing as well as they used to.
Well, no, without the slots, maybe except for Belmont and Saratoga and Yonkers, even Yonkers, without the slot machines, racing's a no-go. That's what the politicians are, constantly saying, that if the racing business can't sustain itself, the welfare that the slot machines provide, the money could be going elsewhere.
Yeah. Hey, Art, my last question for you. Now, you had developed with Chris McCarron, I believe, some type of safety line. What is the status on that?
Well, that is definitely a long story. Chris McCarron and I first spoke to at the racing symposium in Arizona back in 2002, and well, for those that aren't aware, basically what it has, there's a second attachment at the bit that extends just a half inch beyond the main loop, and that if the buckle gives, or that if the rein breaks, the line breaks, that there's that secondary attachment where the driver or the jockey is still able to maintain control of the horse. Billy O'Donnell worked hard and got a rule that's on the books in Ontario that the safety reins and safety lines are required. But unfortunately, the commission, as with a lot of commissions and on various rules, they're not applying the rule. The rule's there, but no one's checking whether the safety lines are being used. And they're kind of frustrated up there, the horsemen that were fighting for it. But it's something that it's a sign of where the things that are wrong, with our business. I mean, here's something back 20 years ago that was like a $3.50 improvement and easy to incorporate into a driving line. Now, maybe after 20 years, maybe it might be $10 between nylon and the hook. But like Stan Bergstein wrote an article that I've traveled 10,000 miles and spoken as many words on this simple safety issue, safety improvement that could prevent one of the most dangerous or one of the most feared calls that a spouse can have. If the driver is killed in the course of a race because of the situation. And it's still there's a horseman they don't like the commissions telling them what to do. The commissions aren't going ahead and do anything unless there's 100% support behind it. If there's anyone that has a question about it, it gets dragged out, more testing. I mean, even now, the thoroughbreds, the HISA safety committee, they took the reins and they changed the format altogether, where they just, I believe and others believe that they just created another situation where the rein can weaken and break. So I have somewhat, after 22 years, I've given up. I've given up on it.
Okay, hey, Art, what happens now if the bit itself breaks?
Oh, with the bit, what I have, there's an attachment. I have like a small rubber-coated snaffle that will attach. That you can, it said put the loop in, attached to the snaffle, where if the bit breaks, the driver still has complete control from the right hand to the left hand with the lines. The other thing that trainers were doing was using a tongue tie, but just not wrapping the tongue tie, around the horse's tongue, just using the tongue tie to attach the two loops.
Okay. Well, that's it for me. Bob, did you have anything in here?
No, I think we've covered everything. Yeah, about the only thing which I still question about HISA, is the whip rule. Because basically, I would think that the main object is to win the race. And basically, you've hit him 6 times, or wait a minute, if that one more time will get it done. In other words, you can't. To me, that's absurd.
Well, the other thing with the whip rule is that there's times where the jocks need to go to the snapper to control the horse to stop from lugging in or lugging out. So it's also a safety issue. The politics is getting in there, and they have to satisfy listening to PETA.
Yep. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay, you're welcome.
That's a wrap for this week's show, and please don't forget to join us again next week.
The Harness Racing Alumni Show,